Hello everyone, Xforts here, and welcome to All Stands in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 5, Vento Aureo. In this video, I'll be going over every stand that appears in Vento Aureo in chronological order, giving a brief description of the stand's ability, who the stand user is, and what the stand's musical reference is. Let's get right into this and dive into the beautiful and bizarre world of Golden Wind. So to start off, the first stand to appear in Vento Aureo is actually an old friend, Echoes from Diamond is Unbreakable. Echoes is a stand with the power of sound, sporting a variety of sound-based abilities through its three forms. The stand can control what you hear, feel, and weigh, through putting sounds in your head, bringing sounds to life, which is probably its best ability considering the possibilities like being able to control any element through sounds like sizzle, swoosh, and chills, and its final ability is to add an immense amount of weight to a single object with Echoes Act 3. The stand user is Morio's finest Koichi Hirose, and Echoes' musical reference is the Pink Floyd song which is composed of 3 acts. Echoes. Next up, we have the first new stand to appear in the part, Gold Experience, with its ability of Life Giver. The stand can give life to inanimate objects to create small animals like ladybugs or frogs, as well as just anything organic like plants, small trees, body parts, and organs, which allows Gold Experience to heal its user and others. Gold Experience is a humanoid stand which is also a traditional punching ghost, but its punches have a secondary effect besides dealing damage. They will overload the enemy with life energy to cause a sense of euphoria and make their brain think faster than their body to throw them out of sync. Although this ability is kinda scrapped as the part goes on, and punches begin to strictly cause physical damage. Gold Experience's stand user is our main JoJo of the part, Giorno Giovanna, and its musical reference is the album The Gold Experience by Prince. Next is Sticky Fingers, a stand with the ability to open objects and create pockets of voided space through zippers. The stand can place a zipper on anything and decide whether it wants to open it like a doorway or create a pocket of space to hide its user or objects. It can also be used to disassemble things and put them back together via zippers. The stand user is Passion Capo Bruno Bucellati, and its musical reference is the album Sticky Fingers by the Rolling Stones. Black Sabbath, the stand that lives in the shadows. It's an automatic long-range stand that's ability is to move swiftly and stealthily throughout shadows, where its power is dramatically increased, but when exposed to sunlight, the stand becomes nearly immobilized. Black Sabbath's main purpose is to create new stand users for the game Passion, as its user is the head of the initiation process to Passion, and to enter the game, you must become a stand user. But it is possible that they allow access to people that are not yet stand users, but still very loyal and dedicated to the game. So because Black Sabbath is mainly used to create new stand users, one of the stand arrows is actually part of the stand, but it's unknown if the stand and the arrow fused together when it was created, or if they were forged together manually. Its last ability is to forcibly remove people's souls from their body, which it pierces with the stand arrow to create a new stand user, or kill the person if they are not strong enough to possess a stand. Black Sabbath's user is Pulpo, and its musical reference is the heavy metal band Black Sabbath. Moving on to Moody Blues, a stand that reveals the truth. Its ability is to look into the past of a specific location or object and rebroadcast the events that took place. For example, it can be used in a cockpit of an airplane to replay the actions of the previous pilot. And on the more extreme end, just by seeing a picture no matter when it was taken, the stand can replay the events at the location in the picture before or after it was taken. When rebroadcasting events, the stand becomes automatic and uncontrollable unless stopped by its user, and this leaves both the user and the stand very vulnerable when rebroadcasting. The stand user is Abacchio Leone, and the stand's musical reference is the band Moody Blues. Next is Soft Machine, a fairly simple stand that's ability seemed conceptualized to highlight other stands like Moody Blues and Sticky Fingers during its fight. Its ability is to deflate people as if they were full of air. The stand has a small rapier that it will stab with, and it gives people the properties of a pop balloon, which can quickly make people disappear and travel through small and tight spaces. It works best when taken taking enemies out one by one stealthily. The stand user is Mario Zichiro, and its musical reference is the rock jazz band Soft Machine. Next up is another stand out of our main cast, Sex Pistols. Sex Pistols is composed of 6 small sentient beings named from numbers 1 to 7, skipping 4 because their user disdains the number 4 for being considered unlucky. Sex Pistols work alongside their user's 6-round revolver, being able to change the direction of bullets in midair by passing them around through kicks and punches, and also reload the gun themselves. They can also protect their user from oncoming projectiles by being able to catch bullets, even a point-blank gunshot to the head. It's notable to mention each and every Sex Pistol is unique and have their own personality, so when seeing them work together, it makes for some pretty great panels and dialogue, one of the most fun stands in the series. Sex Pistols' user is Guido Mista, and its name is in reference to the punk rock legends Sex Pistols. Next is Kraftwerk, a stand that can control kinetic energy. Its ability is able to stop any moving object in place instantaneously regarding the speed it's moving. Then it can build up its kinetic energy and release the object at will, and also slightly touch it to change its trajectory. A really simple ability with tons of potential uses. For example, throwing a handful of rocks into the air and then being able to walk on them like stairs, or stopping a bullet from going into your skull. Kraftwerk's user is Sail, and its musical reference is the experimental electronic project Kraftwerk. Moving on to another minor villain stand, we have Little Feet, a stand with the ability to make your feet little. Okay, moving on to the next stand. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, but there is some truth in that. So Little Feet has a sharp index finger that it will attack their enemy to initialize the stand's effects, similar to Soft Machine's rapier. But in this case, once attacked by Little Feet, you will gradually shrink over time, and in just a few minutes, you will only be an inch tall. It will also shrink your stand, so stands that are strong physical attackers will be rendered useless. But I think the stand's best ability is that it's able to affect its user instantaneously, being able to shrink him and then restore him to normal size in less than a second, which gives the illusion of vanishing and being able to get the jump on enemies. Little Feet's user is Formaggio, and its musical reference is the band Little Feet, but with an A in feet.
Little Feet!
Now for the stand that defeated Little Feet, Aerosmith. Aerosmith is a stand manifested as a small World War II fighter jet with the basic ability of being able to fire bombs and bullets from close to long range with unlimited ammo. It is also equipped with a carbon dioxide radar to scout for enemies through their breathing. There is a small pilot inside Aerosmith's cockpit which goes by the name Smithson, but really doesn't do anything except sit in there. Aerosmith's user is Narancha, and its musical reference is the American rock band Aerosmith. Next we have Man in the Mirror. Its ability is to access a mirrored dimension known as the mirror world, which is the same as the real world except everything is mirrored and devoid of all life. Man in the Mirror enables its user to access this dimension by using any reflective surface as a doorway, regardless of size. It can also forcibly drag people into the mirror world without their stand, leaving it in the normal world. But Man in the Mirror and its user can transfer worlds together, so its best way of attacking is just to drag someone into the mirror world, leaving them defenseless without their stand. A notable aspect of the mirror world is that anything that is disturbed or moved in the real world is also reflected in the mirror world. So for example, in the real world, someone destroys something or knocks something over, that will also happen in the mirror world. It will just look as if a ghost did it or the object is moving by itself, but everything will stay the same. There is just no life in it, only the people that are brought into the mirror world by its user and the user itself. The stand user is Aluzo, and its musical reference is the Michael Jackson song Man in the Mirror. On to Purple Haze. It is a very powerful stand physically that attacks with massive aggression. Its ability is a flesh-eating virus that is stored in the bulbs on its hands that break open when it punches. The virus will surround the stand and spread slowly around itself. It is extremely dangerous for both friend and foe. If exposed to the virus, it can destroy a body in less than a minute. A very powerful ability with few weaknesses, like strong light weakens the effect of the virus, and it cannot be used in small areas because it will kill all of the user's allies and the user itself if exposed to the virus. Purple Haze's user is Panicotta Fugo, and its musical reference is the Jimi Hendrix song Purple Haze. Mr. President, a non-lethal stand that can create a secret room for people to enter when combined with the turtle Coco Jumbo. When entering the room, you will be shrunk down to a size even smaller than we saw with Little Feet, and it's instantaneously. Once inside the secret room, you are protected from enemies physically, but still vulnerable to stand abilities. The stand user, I guess, would be Coco Jumbo, and its musical reference is the band Mr. President. Next up, we have Beach Boy, the stand that takes the form of a fishing pole. It can phase through any object and people's bodies to hook onto internal organs to cause fatal damage. The line from the pole also works as a sensor, being able to sense how many people are in the room and their health status through heartbeats. The stand can attack from close, medium to semi-long range, and all the damage dealt to the fishing pole does not transfer to its user. The stand works best when there is a distraction around or the stand user is very hard to find. Beach Boy's user is Pesci, and its musical reference is the American rock band The Beach Boys. Following Beach Boy, we have the Grateful Dead. Its ability is rapid age acceleration that has a semi-long range of effect. For example, it can affect an entire multi-cart passenger train and make everyone on board rapidly age, both physically and mentally. This ability is dramatically increased if the user comes in direct contact with someone, being able to kill them nearly instantly. The stand works best with a partner to serve as a distraction, as the Grateful Dead's ability slowly incapacitates all of its enemies. The stand user is Prosciutto, and its musical reference is the rock band The Grateful Dead. Next up, we have Babyface, definitely one of the strangest stands in the entire series. Babyface manifests as a computer that is used to impregnate a woman. The stand will select a host best suited to create a strong offspring and unleash itself upon the target. Upon fertilizing the egg, the bizarre stand and human offspring reproduces cells rapidly and will be born in just under 3 minutes, and it takes the form of a homunculus, not a stand. Most people think that the offspring is the stand Babyface, but it's kind of a Frankenstein versus Frankenstein's monster situation. So Babyface's creation is not a stand, even if it has stand-like abilities. It is a physical and visible being to everyone, including non-stand users. This specific offspring's ability is to manipulate matter. It can break itself and others into cubes to rearrange them while keeping them alive, or cause damage by removing cubes that contain vital parts of the body like throats and hearts. There is a lot more to this stand, like its ability to learn and grow, but we aren't even done with La Squadra yet, so let's keep on moving. Babyface's user is Malone, and its musical reference is the R&B artist Babyface. Next up is White Album, a stand that we have talked about a few times on my channel already, so to keep it simple, it's an ice elemental type stand, and it is the first suit stand in the series. It allows its user to move at high speeds by skating on ice it creates, and can freeze enemies while protecting itself with an ice barrier. Its secondary ability and sub-stand is Gently Weeps. Its ability is to bring the temperature around the stand to the lowest possible, -270 degrees Celsius, to freeze the air around itself, adding another layer of protection. The stand user is Ghiaccio, and the musical reference is the Beatles' The White Album and their song While My Guitar Gently Weeps. Next up, we have King Crimson, the stand possessed by our main villain of the part. It might seem a little early, but the stand reveals itself just about halfway through the story. So let's try to explain the most debated and arguably one of the most confusing stands in the entire series in just a minute. So King Crimson works alongside its sub-stand Epitaph, which is represented by the small face on the stand's forehead. King Crimson's ability is to skip time a maximum of 10 seconds, while Epitaph can look 10 seconds into the future and show the user. This is usually done before a time skip is activated. If what the user sees in Epitaph's prediction is less than desirable, like getting shot or attacked, he can skip the time that he took damage. For example, King Crimson's user is shot at. He can skip the time where the bullet hit him. So it didn't really happen if the time is erased. The effect of skipping time is global and felt by everyone, leaving moments of confusion every time King Crimson is used. So for the 10 seconds Epitaph predicts and that King Crimson skips, everyone except the user is a slave to their fate and cannot change what they are going to do for that time. Only the user can consciously decide their actions within the erased time, giving him a massive advantage. King Crimson and Epitaph's users are Diavolo and Doppio, and its musical reference is the band King Crimson and their song Epitaph. So if that explanation still sounds a bit confusing, I think it can be explained best through examples. So for example, King King Crimson, and that is why Hot Pants is the best girl in JoJo. Sorry for going off on that tangent, so let's get back to part 5 stands. Next up is Clash, a long-range stand that takes the form of a shark and can instantly teleport between open liquids ranging from a river to a spoonful of soup. And the stand's size changes depending on what liquid it is in. The bigger the liquid, the bigger the stand will become, the smaller it will become. So considering the stand is a shark, it has pretty good attacking power. Clash's user is Squallow, and its musical reference is the band The Clash. Next up is Talking Head, a parasite-type stand that attaches itself to its target's tongue to control what they say, being able to lure the target's allies into dangerous situations and ambushes. It works best with a more lethal stand as its partner because of its almost non-existent offensive power. Talking Head's user is Tiziano, and its musical reference is the band Talking Heads. Next up, we have the notorious stand B.I.G. One of the most unique aspects of this stand, besides the fact that it cannot die, is that in order for the stand to activate, the user has to die. Once activated, B.I.G. starts small but will rapidly grow through absorbing energy around it, like attacks thrown at it and inanimate objects producing energy like a plane engine. Since the stand has no stand user to command it, it's automatic and will attack anything based on its speed. The fastest thing around the stand's relative surroundings will be attacked. B.I.G.'s user was Carne, and its musical reference is the American rapper Notorious Big. Moving on to the last stand from our main cast members, we have Spice Girl. Spice Girl is a humanoid stand with similar properties to most punch ghosts, but instead of breaking things, it makes things soft, turning solid objects into elastic and bouncy, which like most stand abilities can be used very creatively, like turning a real bullet into a soft Nerf bullet. Spice Girl's user is Trish Una, and its musical reference is the all-female musical group Spice Girls. Next is Metallica. The stand can control the element iron around its close proximity, including the iron in people's blood, which there is a lot of, making for some pretty brutal uses like forming scissors and razor blades in a person's throat. It can also use the iron in nature to form the same weapons. The stand can give its user camouflage by surrounding him with iron that will reflect off light, making him blend in with any background. Metallica is a colony-type stand, with each individual resembling the famous painting The Scream by Edvard Munch. The stand user is Risotto Nero, and its musical reference is the greatest metal band of all time, Metallica. The next stand to appear is actually an unnamed stand from the past in 1978. In Vento Aureo, we learn that the stand errors were forged from a meteor that fell from space in Cape York, Greenland, and in 1978, a team of surveyors were exploring the crater, which formed tens of thousands of years ago, but there was a lingering virus. One of the researchers was exposed to the virus and his body began to mutilate, but before he died shortly after being exposed, he shot lightning from his fingertips, very reminiscent of a stand ability. And that's really all the information we know. The stand user is unknown and it obviously doesn't have a name. I'd like to imagine the stand would have been named Ride the Lightning in reference to the Metallica song and album. Moving on to the last couple of enemy stands, we have Green Day, a long-range virus-type stand that affects anyone that is a lower altitude than the user, with a mold infestation. The lower you are, the faster you die. The user can also disassemble themselves to control each limb independently by having them all affected by his own virus, except it doesn't kill him but gives him control over his limbs. Green Day's user is Cicolata, and its musical reference is the punk rock band Green Day. Next up is Oasis, the second suit stand in the part and in the series. Oasis surrounds its user and allows him to travel freely underground and through objects. It also enhances the user's strength and speed, giving him more mobility when facing underground. It just kind of looks like he melts underground, and the way he comes out of the ground is like he's swimming in concrete. Oasis relies on sound to be able to locate its enemies on the surface, and this is also its greatest downfall, being easily deceived and disrupted by loud sounds. Oasis's user is Seko, and its musical reference is the English rock band Oasis. Approaching our final battle, we are surprised with an old friend. A really old friend, Silver Chariot from part 3. But not before long, Silver Chariot is pierced by the arrow forged with the beetle and transforms into the Requiem. The Requiem, or Silver Chariot Requiem, has the ability of soul swap. If you have ever seen Freaky Friday, you are familiar with this concept. The Requiem will put everyone to sleep in its surrounding area, and when they wake up, they will have their souls and stands swapped with the others affected. The Requiem is protected by all stands. If you try to attack it, it will only result in your own stand attacking you back. attack. Its only weakness is its shadow, which is casted by the person's soul closest to it, which is represented as an orb of light above the person. So the only way to defeat the Requiem is to destroy its shadow, and to do that, you have to destroy your own soul. It must require a sacrifice to end. Silver Chariot's user is Jean-Pierre Polnareff, but once transformed into the Requiem, it no longer has a user. Its musical reference is Mozart's Requiem. Our next stand is the last Requiem, Gold Experience Requiem. Once Gold Experience is pierced by the same arrow that created the original Requiem, it begins to transform and fuse with the arrow to create GER. GER's ability is the power of 0. It can nullify the effect of anything and any stand's ability, returning it to its previous state, which heavily contrasts our main villain stand King Crimson, creating a duality between the two. King Crimson can remove the cause and leave the effect, while GER removes the effect from the cause. In action, GER's ability almost appears as it's rewinding time, but it doesn't. It only reverses actions, not people's behavior. And with this ability, GER becomes the most broken stand in the entire series. Oh, also, if you're killed by the stand, you are thrown into an infinite death loop where you spend eternity dying over and over again from your worst fears. Gold Experience Requiem's user is Giorno Giovanna, and its musical reference is the Gold Experience by Prince and Mozart's Requiem. And now, finally, onto the last stand in Vento Aureo. Rolling Stones. Rolling Stones is an automatic and uncontrollable stand that takes the form of a large boulder. It will attach itself to somebody around it who will soon die, and slowly reveal to them their dead body in its rock. It will easily influence people to take their own life, but have dire consequences to the ones around you if refused. Rolling Stones is one of the most thematically rich stands in the entire series, and revolves around the concept of fate. Considering this arc happened before the events of the part, it created the fate that all of our characters would soon meet. Rolling Stones user is Scolipi, and its musical reference is the rock band The Rolling Stones. And that, my friends, is every stand that appears in the 5th part of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Vento Aureo. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to like the video to manifest that part 5 anime, and subscribe for more JoJo, manga, and media related videos. Also, check the description for my Twitter and Twitch page. So with that said, I'm out, guys. Peace.